I would love to hear what has been the biggest struggle for you guys in your family with a child who is or either was suffering from eczema.
So it's something I mentioned earlier, but the inability to fix what's happening. Like you don't have any control. I think Korey mentioned something yesterday on our social media. It's like the weather. You can't control it, and it's just you just have to deal with the storms. So that's really hard mentally. So the mental toll between as a mom and then as a dad and then in your marriage and with siblings, like nobody can fix it. And if I had to give like a moment, Abby, you might remember this from More Than Skin Deep, but I was just driving down the road from visiting family a couple hours away, and my son was so bad off, and I was big pregnant with my second child, and so super hormonal and really sleep deprived, and then just stressed out. And I just remember thinking, like, how can he live like this? His skin is his largest organ, and it's not functioning right. It's not keeping the good in, and it's not keeping the bad out. So how do we live like this? And I didn't mean like, what's our quality of life? Like, how are we going to get by? I meant like, how is he actually going to survive in this world that we live in? How his body will maintain. So I just remember being in a really dark place then and thinking, like, what if I lose him? You know? So that's the hardest. That's been there's the overall, the umbrella of not being able to fix it, and then there's those moments that just stick with you. And we used to listen to this. You know how when you have a new baby born, you kind of give the sibling a gift. Well, we got him the CD, and it was like Raffi songs. I guess Raffi was probably from like the 80s, but I didn't know him when I was a kid. But somebody recommended his song, so we would put this DVD in when my second child was born, and that's like the soundtrack of our eczema hell. So when I hear these sweet little childhood songs, I just go back to that bad time, like in an instant. So songs and like just little things can just take you back. And so that's what's crazy, is like it's such a traumatic time, and I don't know where I was going with that, but you can look back and just be transported back to that time. And that's been the hard part. But now that I'm on the other side, I get to help other families see their way through. And like Korey said, I didn't really have that. I had great friends, but I didn't feel like there was any way out. And people need to see that.
Mm-hmm. That's so beautiful. I really appreciate you for sharing that and really being so open and raw about what you went through as well, because I know it wasn't easy.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
For kind of similar to Keri in a lot of ways, but for me, I think the hardest part was trying something that had worked for other people and getting my hopes up and getting my son's hopes up and then having it not work. And the hopelessness, I think, that sets in sometimes. And I just remember when my son was 5, I'd said, "Oh, I've heard about this treatment, and I think it might work for you, and let's give it a try." And he just said to me, "Mom, it's not going to work." And I just thought, "Oh no!" At 5, he already has kind of given up, and he's been through so much with trying so many treatments that were uncomfortable or painful or horrible and didn't work, that he'd kind of lost that spirit. So that was kind of a low moment for me, for sure, to feel like he resigned to being uncomfortable and not having a treatment in that way at such a young age, when I knew we had to keep fighting and keep struggling and keep looking in order for it to end. So I think there's those moments like that you have where you're just tired of being disappointed, and your child is too. And that can be really tough, to feel like maybe there isn't something for us, and maybe I should stop looking and I should stop trying. Both Keri and I did find something that worked for our kids, and thankfully, they're doing great. So I always like to say to other parents out there, don't stop looking, and there are better options now, and you will find something. So keep the hope alive, and don't lose that fighting spirit. But for sure, there are low moments, and we've all been there. So I think that's.
I also want to quickly share mine. For me, I went through extremely severe eczema, and for me, a lot of foods really flared up my skin when I was going through my episodes of having really severe flare-ups, and it was really, really traumatic. And when my son was younger, my mother-in-law would watch him, but she didn't understand like food and like, you know, how much food impacted me. So she didn't understand like certain foods could also, you know, affect him too. And thankfully he only had mild eczema, and thankfully he's good now as well, and he doesn't really have eczema now. But yeah, it's just it felt like all the work that I had put into, you know, trying to build up his immune system and give him a healthy foundation. It just felt like, you know, no one really understood, and even sometimes my husband wouldn't know how to feed him in the same way. So that was the tough part for me. But I know so many people have a lot of other struggles as well. And I'm just really appreciative and thankful that you guys opened up and shared about the struggles that you guys went through.
Too.
Thank you for having us, Abby.
Yeah, my pleasure. It was great to hear more about your organization and everything that you're doing. I really appreciate you guys. Any last words before we head off?
No, share your story for Atopic Eczema Day. You know, join us if it sounds of interest to you, and we're just happy to be part of the movement. So thanks for including us.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here.